Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Peterson, CEO of Blue Monarch Management, and I want to welcome you to this session in our digital transformation series. At Blue Monarch, we work with organizations to modernize how decisions get made, how work flows, and how teams deliver with systems that reduce friction, strengthen accountability, and unlock growth. And in nearly every engagement, one thing keeps showing up. It's the silent drag caused by manual workflows. Broken processes don't always scream for attention, but they erode trust. They slow down decision making and waste time at every level, and we see this over and over again with clients we work with. That's why today we're focusing on workflow automation, not as a tech upgrade, but as a strategic lever. When it's done right, automation delivers 5 core benefits that show up across almost every business model. Number 1, speed. Work moves faster. Approvals, requests, updates, they just seem to happen without the manual follow-up. 2, consistency. There are fewer mistakes, less ambiguity, and tighter execution. 3, cost control. Teams stop wasting time on repetitive admin and rework. 4, visibility. Leaders get a clearer picture of what's happening and what's stuck. And 5, and a personal favorite these days with so many trends around new company growth, startups, and the impetus to compete differently and better in the world markets, is scalability. And the system doesn't break as the business grows. It bends, it flexes without losing any of the integrity. And so I'm quite excited as we continue with our digital transformation series to welcome Riley Bauer from Bauer Automate, who spent years helping organizations to simplify and scale through practical high-impact automation. Bauer Automate focuses on Microsoft enterprise tools primarily and systems. And while we'll touch on some of that today, it's really the philosophy of automation that we're exploring today with him. When a client drives an initiative that engages our organization for help, we always look at 4 different streams of benefits. We look for financial benefits, we look for transformational benefits, we look for positioning benefits, so strategic positioning in the marketplace, and we look for capacity building benefits. And Riley and his team have proven that they can deliver results from all 4 of those benefit streams really smartly and, quite frankly, really quickly. We're going to explore what makes workflow automation stick, where it breaks down, and how to build systems that don't just run, but they run better as you grow. So let's get into it. Welcome, Riley.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm really excited to be here.
Why don't you give us a little bit of a frame for who Bauer Automate is, what you do, and sort of why you launched your organization?
Yeah, that sounds good. As far as Bauer Automate is concerned, it's a pun on Microsoft's Power Automate and my name. It's one of the most common workflow engines out there, and we find that we're just seeing that we're helping organizations use the tools that they already have. So 74% of organizations have either Google or Microsoft Workspace, and we just built a business around supporting, helping use the tools that they already have to do low-hanging fruit, simple automations. One of my favorite examples is something like a time-off request. Everybody understands the process, but many organizations are still sending it through an email or even a paper that's getting walked across the building. And so we just started looking at opportunities to automate using the tools that a company already has for simple things like digital forms and places where we'd have like a notification or an approval. And we're starting to see trends with AI as well, but our main focus is definitely on the simpler automation.
A good foundation from which to grow. So what are you seeing? I'd say maybe let's anchor on the concept of friction for the moment. So when you go into a client, what are you seeing when you first hit the ground with a client around friction points and some of their headwinds or challenges that they experience before you get started?
So, I mean, there's the big buzzword right now is AI, and I've been finding that a lot of people, when they hear automation and AI, are worried it might be coming after their jobs. And for us, it's not about replacing jobs. It's about unlocking value and finding other places where the team can do more valuable work. You've got some great people on your team, and what we're finding is even some of the most passionate ones are mostly just scared of the unknown. And I think that's where being a partner and a collaborator working together on these kind of engagements is where we shine a little bit stronger. So we come in and we identify some of these people who are either stronger in tech savvy or are concerned about the change as well, and try to make sure they get the special treatment. They're involved in the project and that they can help be part of what we produce, so that they also understand our goals.
I think one of the key reasons why we're here as part of digital transformation is automation is huge these days. So a minute ago, you touched on a couple of trends. Maybe can you elaborate a little bit more about sort of what's hot right now around the concept of workflow automation?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that we see right now in our world is the document automation between what these large language models can do for summarizing documents, what we can do with AI to do character recognition to turn a scanned document full of messy doctor's handwriting into searchable text, and how to make that information easier to find through the organization because it's tagged, it's searchable. We're also seeing some other trends here with just like general workflow automation. Looking at a company like Uber, in the last couple of years, they've managed to build 40,000 workflows in Power Automate that support about 80 large organizational processes, and starting to see some really big unlocked value there that they think they're looking at about $9 million a year just on those processes.
Since we've been getting to know each other again after a first project that we worked several years ago, I keep coming back to one of the most interesting parts of what Bauer Automate does, which is sort of bridge that very simple workflows between humans and documents or humans and approvals, and how does it actually drive to the bottom line? So can you just give a little bit of a scaffolding around that? You know, when you go in and you fix a workflow, or you look at a company like Uber that fixes 8 or 9 of them, to be able to drive those kinds of savings, how does that actually happen inside of an organization?
Well, we try to understand the fact that, you know, many of these processes are quite time consuming. Submitting a simple paper form, getting it through to your manager, and having the 2 or 3 people who need to follow up on it afterwards see it in a timely manner it's a very common problem that I don't think organizations realize how prevalent it is in their operations. And so it's, in my opinion, you know, in the top level of an organization, it's where you're looking at where you can save in this economy. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And if we have 1,000 paper forms that each take a couple minutes, but that scales up through the organization, each process, when you request a project, you have a form to fill out. When you request your time off, when you go and fill out something for a customer deliverable, there is all these forms and paperwork that gets filed away in a hard to find spot. People are looking for it. There's no notifications. There's no awareness about it. And so we're finding that every organization has a large amount of opportunity for workflow automation on a lot of these simple processes. And then there's also places where we can unlock value in some extremely complex processes as well. An example we'd recently worked on here was with a municipality. We built a system for their disability transit. And most of the people who need to use the system have to fill out something through paper and fax it in just because of the nature of the audience. They need some help with the paperwork. So we still have an AI that's going and reading the forms that are sent in through the fax machine, transcribing it into the database automatically. And then there's a whole bunch of that process where they would originally have to take a paper on the bus to 5 or 6 different doctors is all in some central portal now. And so